Well, this is an election year, and in less than 2 months, you will be heading to the polls to cast your vote in the June primary.
And we want you to be educated about who you're voting for. So we've invited people who are running for office to stop by Great Day so you can get to know them.
Today we have Assemblymember David Valadao, who is running for Congress in the newly drawn 21st Congressional District, and that is a doozy. Tell us, what are the lines?
The lines are actually, it's a good part of the valley. It's a big portion. I go from south of Bakersfield, Arvin-Lamont area, all the way up into Firebaugh. So it's from where I live, an hour and a half to the south, almost 2 hours to the south, and to the north, another hour and a half drive.
Where do you live?
I live in Hanford.
Okay.
Now, you've been an assemblyman for 2 years, and you've decided to run for Congress. Why?
Well, I think I can be more effective in D.C. Republicans are obviously in the majority, and that's part of it, but also the issues that are most important in my district. Water is a big issue for us, and the feds are where we can make the difference there. In the state of California, there are a few little things we've been able to do for water, but the majority of the fight is going to be in D.C., and that's what I'm hoping to do.
As it is, some lawmakers, though, have complained that it's hard for the Central Valley to get any attention in Sacramento. What makes you think it's going to be any easier in Washington, or will it be?
Well, it won't be easier, but you have that opportunity to work with the team that's already there working for water, to work with Congressman Nunes, to work with Congressman Jeff Denham, to work with Congressman Kevin McCarthy. Those are all people that are focused on the issue of water, and I'm happy to be on a part of the team with them.
That's also if Congressman Denham gets reelected as well.
Yes, that's true.
Okay.
You spent your life as a dairy farmer, and obviously we know why water is so important to you and your family. What made you decide to take off those cowboy boots, put on your nice suit, and continue this clearly difficult fight?
Well, I spent a lot of time before I ran for office as a dairyman, obviously, but spending a lot of time in D.C. or Sacramento working with legislators on issues that affected us in my industry in the Valley. And it was just part of the fight, and I met with legislators all the time that you'd have to always explain to them, this is what we do, this is how we do it. And I thought, why not just have a business owner or a person from the community that works in the community run for office? Because at the end of the day, we're representatives, and that's what the title is. You're a representative of your area, so you need to be representative of that. You need to be part of the community. You need to live there. You need to understand it. You need to work there. And I think that the best way to do that is to be a business owner, to be an average Joe running for office, and I'm pretty excited about that.
Now, aside from water as probably one of our biggest challenges here in the Valley, what other challenges do you see that we face here in our Valley?
Well, unemployment's a big issue, huge issue, and I know that unemployment's improved a little bit across the country, but it still hasn't really come to the Central Valley. And some of the issues that affect us with the employment is obviously energy costs, water again, and regulation. A lot of the energy costs, I think, is what's really affecting us. Me as a business owner, in my personal business, what my energy costs are going to go up now with some of the new things going on in the state, it's going to cost jobs. And what it affects me at my business is basically what it would cost to hire a person. So that's one less person I'll be able to hire because of some of these new energy costs. And when fuel prices go up, in the summer months when we're working ground for our crops, I buy about a truckload of diesel a month. And when we go up to these new prices of diesel, every month I'll spend more than the salary of 2 or 3 people difference. And that's just money that shouldn't be wasted on something that we can produce here efficiently. And those are all dollars that should be spent focusing on hiring people. And that's what we try to do in my business, but not given the opportunity because the money's being spent on things we shouldn't be spending on.
You bring up the issue of jobs. Jobs is a topic that has been tied a lot to high-speed rail, which cuts right through the district that you are looking to represent. Supporters say it's going to bring a lot of jobs, not to mention last week the projections that were released brought the cost of it down significantly. However, you have been among the stronger opponents of high-speed rail. Why?
Well, the actual concept of it, I'm not the strongest opponent. I don't mind talking about it. I don't mind having the dream, looking to the future. But this project, as is today, we don't even know what the plans look like. The best numbers I can get out of the authority is that they're about 20% the plans are drawn. How can you honestly give me a number what it's going to cost if you don't even have plans drawn all the way through? I mean, I think they're wasting our time talking about going 100 billion down to 68 billion, whatever they want to say the number is. But it's still dollars that are going to affect us at the state of California, and it's going to come out of the general fund to service that debt to pay for this thing. And those dollars should be going to education, should be going to people, keeping people in prison, keeping our law enforcement out on the streets. And we don't have people out there. We're not able to keep them there, and we're spending money on this high-speed rail. And when we talk about jobs, are all the jobs going to come from the Central Valley? If we talk about construction jobs, our infrastructure, our roads, our freeways, we need to keep those up. We're already behind the 8 ball getting those done. There's jobs there. We don't have the money for those. So focus on priorities, keep people safe, keep spending money on education, but this high-speed rail, and then when it's all said and done, the people that live in my district aren't going to be able to afford to ride it. If you're going to throw a family of 4 into a car and drive down to LA, they're better off driving than they are riding the rail. And I just don't see the benefit for my constituents today.
Voters have passed a bond to help fund this. There's been talks of possibly putting a proposition on the ballot to, I guess, rescind that, if you will.
Well, it would be putting it back in front of the voters to vote again. I'm actually a co-author of that bill.
Okay.
That's Senator LaMalfa's bill. And I have no problem with the voters voting on that. I think that they were sold a story, and we haven't kept that story, or the things have changed. When it was passed, it was $9.95 billion. If that $9.95 billion was spent today, the service debt alone would be $700 million a year out of the general fund for the next 30 years. So that's a lot of money coming out of the general fund. And now that the project's $68 billion or $100 billion or whatever they want to tell us the number is tomorrow, it's money that we don't have today, and I think the voters should be given a shot at voting on it again.
How much power or voice do you feel like you truly have when it comes to jobs and the price of fuel as an assemblyman or even as a congressman?
Well, as far as the price of energy, this past year RPS was passed, Renewable Portfolio Standard, which actually increases the energy. It won't directly increase it, but it requires that the PG&Es and Southern California Edisons and all the other independent operator utilities purchase energy from solar, wind, biomass, and all the different renewables. There was a study on my desk the day we voted, and I had an opportunity, I had a voice, and I actually pressed a button. I pressed it against that because the information I had in front of me said that it was going to increase energy costs as much as 40% over 2008 levels just here in this local area, and down in LA, with some IOUs, as much as 80%. And when you see those type of energy cost increases, that's where my voice and me pushing that button against it. And I was one of the votes against it. Obviously, we need more of those votes against it. I have no problem with renewables, but when you start requiring that people buy them or you start forcing it on the marketplace, it's going to increase energy costs. And so that's where members of the legislature, if you're in Sacramento or you're in D.C., have a direct impact on those type of policies.
One more thing, we're almost out of time. Tell us about yourself. Do you have a family? We know you live in Hanford.
Yes, sir. I've got 3 young kids, and they're actually on their way to the coast today to go visit their sister or their aunt. My oldest is 9. My son, Connor, he was milking cows this weekend, enjoying time on the dairy. And my daughter's 5, and I have a little boy, Lucas. He's going to be 2 this month.
Awesome.
So happily married and raising 3 kids and doing the best to keep them as normal as possible and still be part of the political life.
Good.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
thank
great.
you.
Thank you very much for taking the time this morning. We really
Happy to be
appreciate
here.
it.
Thank you for having me.
If you would like any more information about Assemblymember Valadao, we have a link on our website. You can go to kmph.com, click News Links, right there on the homepage.
And if you or someone you know is running for office, we'd love to have them on the show. Just send us an email, greatday@kmph.com.
Coming up this morning,